Mounting a new head on a banjo can feel like a daunting process, but it really isn't as bad as it seems, especially with a little bit of help. The head of my Bay State 351 bust this summer. It was just hanging on the wall and it went pop, which broke my heart because it was probably over 100 years old. But banjos are made to be played, and that's the way it goes. I also really like the sound of my banjo with a really tight head, so I'm willing to accept the risk that comes with. And I want to say, don't be afraid to tighten that head to get the sound that you want. Skinheads are not expensive, and if you break one, you can just mount another one. The more you do it, the more you learn. And once you've done it a few times, it's really a very simple process. The hardest part is that there are a lot of things that can go wrong, so if you know about those things, hopefully you'll feel more armed to tackle it. But it's not the end of the world if it breaks, you just put on another one. Most importantly, it's a really great way to know your banjo and build confidence in your relationship with your instrument. So I recorded my first attempt at replacing a banjo head, which was really a series of attempts, including many mistakes and at least 3 failures. But as Thomas Edison supposedly said, I have not failed 700 times. I've succeeded in proving 700 ways not to build the light bulb. If you are short on time, please skip ahead to the section labeled the right way. Everyone does this a little bit differently, but this is how I do it, based on different advice from different people who know a lot more than me. And these mistakes that I've made really helped me learn and are just part of the process. Most important to mention, I learned this skill from the members of Clifton Hicks's Banjo Heritage Group, especially Blaine Chappell. No man is an island, and no banjo is an island, and I hope that if you're not blessed enough to have folks like I do to ask, that this video at least helps a bit. I buy my calfskin heads from Bob Smakula, and always keep a few extra around so that I'm not nervous about wasting one. Plus, nothing really goes to waste because I feed the scraps to the dog as a treat, just a little bit at a time. But he does try now to lick my banjo while I practice, so be aware of that. Make sure to get one with plenty of excess so that you have plenty of wiggle room. I didn't film my first attempt. Blaine Chappell got me started, showed me how to do it, but when I took it home, it popped the next day, and there are 3 problems that I think contributed to this. 1, I didn't tighten it as evenly as I could have. Too many in a row on one side added pressure to that bit that popped. 2nd, I did a sloppy trim job with a dull knife because I wanted to get it done and I couldn't find my X-Acto knife. But then 3rd, which I think is the most critical, I tightened too tight too fast. What you're seeing now is my 2nd attempt. I soaked the skin for about 15 to 30 minutes and then dried it in a towel. It should kind of feel like a pre-made flour tortilla, a little bit floppy and damp, but not too wet. Some skins will have the ridge of the spine, and I like to align that ridge with the neck, but you can do it however you want. If you like chaos, like Blaine does, you can do it askance. It's up to you. I also prefer the back side of the animal out. This tends to be the rougher side, and the membrane side in, as God intended, but do it how you want. Make sure you pull the skin tightly and that there are no ripples around the flesh hoop. My first mistake was trying to make the rim even right out of the gate. As the head dries, though, it will lower naturally, so don't stress about it. In fact, try to leave a 1/4 inch room to adjust for it going down over time. I wince watching this because, we all know if you do woodworking or anything else, like forcing anything is never the right answer, but sometimes impatience wins out. The rim is a little bit difficult to get on with the skin. It tends to kind of slide out, but just be patient and keep trying. Patience is an important virtue in this whole process. Let that dry for about 30 minutes and then grab 8 hooks that are modern or new. Don't use the old ones if you have an antique instrument because you'll stress out the metal too much and it will degrade it over time. So hand tighten those 8 new hooks just enough and make sure they're spaced out evenly. Do it with your hand, finger tight. Now what I should have done here is I should have left it alone for another 24 hours. But I didn't like cutting the dry head, so I tried it wet on the 2nd attempt. You can do this, but in hindsight, I now think it's just too risky. I also didn't look hard enough for that X-Acto knife, so I kind of rushed and used this dull one. I cut too low. The skin will shrink as it dries, so don't worry about too much excess. You don't have to go as low as I'm going here. In fact, I think that's a little risky. And now go really slow when you're cutting off that excess, and it will likely take about 10 minutes to work around the head slowly. Again, the next day I was a little too eager. I should have replaced all the original hooks in an X pattern and tightened by hand, not with my banjo wrench, and left it for another 24 hours. You can also see here that the crown, which is the white spot, or the white rim, is just too big. It clearly looks wrong. So unfortunately, I heard a pop in the evening due to these factors, and that was the end of my second attempt. Again, too tight, too fast. So I redid the whole process the next day, and even though I slowed things down, I still went too fast. I thought I got it this time, as you can tell by me trying to set up the rest of the banjo, but the crown was too big. It's even bigger than last time because I tried to force it down while it was still wet. Now, this mistake didn't matter because it ended up popping 24 hours after the last one popped. So this one lasted 24 hours longer, but it was still too tight, too fast. After that head busted, I tried one more time, and the fourth time is the charm. I went slow, I took my time, I hand tightened day by day, and I eventually got it. So this is my most successful attempt, and the head is still working. Some time later, it takes about 6 months for it to totally settle in. You just tighten them a little bit when they're loose, excuse me. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this helpful and can learn from my mistakes. I'm going to post another video soon about the finishing the banjo setup the right way, at least my right way. And I want to thank all my Banjo Heritage friends who walked me through this process and put up with all my quote-unquote failures, my happy accidents, and to my friends who provided music for the video. So if you are interested in learning traditional banjo, please check out Clifton Hicks and his Banjo Heritage course and group. I've learned a lot, and I'm really excited to share this process with you all. I hope it helps. Thanks for stopping by.